Okay.
All right, let's open the meeting here. It's, this is 6:31. We're gonna open the meeting. Let me just make a note of that. It's posted in accordance with the provisions of the MGL Chapter 38, Section 20B. This meeting will be videotaped and rebroadcast by Area 58 TV. The date of this meeting is March 12, 2024, 6:30 p.m., and we are in room number 4. The agenda, discussion and possible votes. The first one, I had invited and asked Tom Bott if he could come. He said he was, so...
I was just up there. He's on his way. He's just clearing up a couple of things for his planning board meeting.
Okay.
So he'll be down.
Okay, so we'll go to number 2. Number 2, Maggie Smith. Oh, here is Tom Bott. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Okay. Sorry.
You're fine, you're fine. So Route 44 development, I asked Tom Bott, our planning director, to join us tonight. He agreed, he's here. He's going to talk about the preliminary subdivision plan approval from the planning board. Thank you, Mr. Bott.
You're very welcome. So I'm Tom Bott, I'm the town planner here. We actually fired all the planning directors we had before because they seem very contentious and snobbish, so I'm not that guy. That's not actually what happened. So in any event, to just correct, it's not a preliminary subdivision, it's a definitive subdivision.
Definitive, let me check.
And that is sort of an in-the-weeds sort of description of it. But for a residential subdivision, someone can file a subdivision plan. But for a non-residential subdivision, such as an industrial subdivision like this, state law requires you file both a preliminary plan and a definitive plan.
Okay.
So they started off this process with a subdivision in place, and after, and one of the things that they did, which is unusual, but folks do tend to do that, is they rescinded the previous subdivision. In doing that, is an action through the board where they basically erased all the lot lines and where all the roads were, they were basically on paper.
Yeah.
So they rescinded the subdivision, and that wiped the slate clean, tabula rasa. And then they came back with a preliminary plan that showed a roadway and 4 lots. They followed that up within 7 months, as you're required to do, with the definitive subdivision plan. And that's where we're at today, is that the Route 44 group has a subdivision, a definitive subdivision plan approved for their property. That entails a roadway with a circular roadway, 2 road entrances in, and a cul-de-sac, and 4 lots. Those 4 lots are essentially, and I don't have the number right in front of me, I probably should have brought it with me. Those numbers were essentially a 1 acre lot, a 4 acre lot, a 20 acre lot, and a 200+ acre lot.
Yeah.
The 2 acre plus lot being, that lot that someone hopes to develop something quite large on. So at this point, they have a subdivision plan that's been approved. It's in the town clerk's office, working its way through the appeal period. And when the appeal period is complete, they can file their plan, and then they can start construction, but only after they have a pre-construction conference. Because one of the things we now require for a subdivision is to have your contractor, your builders, your engineers, all those folks meet with town staff before you put the first shovel in the ground.
Right.
To make sure everybody understands what the conditions are and what the parameters are for doing the subdivision. So at that point, after we have a pre-development conference, they'll be free to start work on the roadway. Now, before they can build any building out there, the roadway has to be done. The provision is you can't build something unless there's a road in front of it. And planning boards, when they do a subdivision plan, they also have a covenant. And the covenant says you cannot sell any lot until the planning board releases them.
Okay.
And the planning board doesn't release a lot until the roadway is in front of it, and we have a bond in place to ensure that the roadway is complete and the rest of the subdivision infrastructure is complete.
Okay.
The water lines that have to be put in, the electric lines, all the utilities for the site. So typically when someone builds something, they'll put the first course of pavement down, and they'll come back later on with a second course of pavement. And most developers like to hold off on that, because if the pavement gets marred up a bit with construction equipment and things like that, then they can fix that final paving. So that's why we require a bond. So before anything gets built out there, they have to meet with us to make sure, with town staff to make sure they know what the parameters are. They have to build the roadway, we have to inspect it, and require a bond from them to ensure that the subdivision will be completed. And at that point, a developer can sell a lot. And that's essentially where we're at right now. With the appeal period up, they'll be free to move forward with those. And I've had a couple conversations with the folks at Route 44. And their question to me was, well, can I sell a lot like right away? I'm like, no, you can't. The roadway has to be in, and there has to be a bond in place. So we're probably in a best case scenario to build a roadway and get all that stuff done 7-9 months out. Some folks could work exceedingly fast, but that's not typically the case. So right now, all they've got on the ground is an approved subdivision. And before they build anything, they've got a lot more work to do, which includes the town at every step of the way.
Okay, I have a couple questions, and I'm sure the staff would like to ask too. But I just have a couple questions. In mine mostly was the water, simply because Mr. Palmieri, North Carver Water Commissioner, had asked me if I could meet with him. This was like in beginning of December. And he was concerned, wanted to get the information to us to know that at the end of December, they were going to be connecting to Middleborough. He also wanted us to know that Middleborough could not deliver 100,000 gallons a day, the way that was initially wanted by Hillwood, and that they would have to go back to DEP and be licensed. Now, I didn't get into when and how long or any of that stuff, but I told them, thank you very much. I will communicate that back to my staff, not my staff, but the board as well as Mr. Bott, that they need to do that. Now, Mr. Bott, I noticed in your letter that you pleasantly sent to both Savory and I, the board all has a copy. I sent you all that stuff. So some of the things that kind of stood out to me was the fact, mostly these conditions that the planning board had set up, and they were typically the water. And that's how I looked at it, because I wanted to see how that was going to go down. And they have to track, they have to have fire protection. So all that seemed to be covered. The applicant was required to track the wastewater. That's another piece of it. And then number 22, the most important one, well, not one of the important ones, it said, due to the North Carver water facility being offline, there shall be no connection of the water lines installed in the subdivision until a connecting water distribution system is approved by the North Carver Water District. Could you kind of elaborate on that?
Certainly. So as part of our conversations with DEP as well, so I and the chairman of the planning board met with MEPA and a couple representatives from DEP around the first of the year. And one of the statements from DEP was, we anticipate a water moratorium in Carver because of the difficulties in operating the North Carver water plant. And their recommendation was that no pipes should be connected to the North Carver water system. So water lines are required to be in the street, but they are not to be connected until there is an effective water distribution system. So if North Carver gets their plant back up to the level that folks anticipated it might be at some point in the future, then they'll be able to connect those. But as we've talked about before, North Carver in their current capacity, North Carver Water District in their current capacity, doesn't produce enough water to really support any significant commercial development on the site. Any commercial development on the site is going to require the developer to develop a water distribution system.
Which what Hillwood had done before.
Correct, and that's this discussion about the water tank. So you can pull water from the ground, but you've got to store it in the tank in order to get that sort of flow and that sort of volume that you need to pressurize the system. And until that's done, there's really going to be anything of any merit, of any significance built on the site.
in the last page, it said waive it to clarify details on water supply and wastewater in the definitive subdivision plan. Can you, that's the last page.
Sure. So there is no requirement for a subdivision for wastewater or for a water distribution system. Subdivision requirements require the pipes to be in the ground. There's nothing in the subdivision requirements that says a development has to build a well, a development has to build a wastewater treatment plant. Those are things that come along when a project comes along. So when the roadway is built, after we've had our pre-development meeting, after our engineer has done the inspections, and after we have a bond in place, and the planning board votes to release those lots, then at that point Route 44 can sell one of those lots to somebody who may want to develop it. And that person who wants to develop it will come to the planning board with a site plan and a special permit. And at that point of knowing what is going to go on that particular lot, that requires what sort of mitigation they will have to do, both from the MEPA review as well as from the perspective of creating water for the site.
Okay, all right. Anybody here? Go ahead, Pat.
Oh, I just got one question. What's the issue with the North Carver plant that it can't produce the water?
The North Carver, and I'm speaking sort of as I understand it, but there's just not enough water that's produced on a daily basis from the North Carver water plant in order to put enough water into the system to fully charge the water pipes and things, to put the amount of pressure that needs to be to even run a hydrant. At the current production levels right now, I've been told by the folks at North Carver Water that if they want to flush the hydrants, they have to bring a tanker. And they have to hook a tanker up to a hydrant and pump water into the system in order to get enough pressure into the system just to flush the water lines. So it's a matter of, in most places, and that's why you see water tanks all around, because people are allowed to pump X number of gallons per day, per year, through DEP's requirements. So you pump that water and you store it for when you need it. And that's why we see water tanks like at Silver Lake, we see water tanks in other places that are that ability to create those pressures for a system. And that's pretty standard for most water systems, whether they're municipal or private. You pump water out of the ground, you put it somewhere up so it runs downhill, and that way you've got the adequate amount of volume and pressure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tom, where do you think they are with this, just trying to grandfather in basically the 65-foot level in doing all this?
That's done. So if you file a subdivision plan prior to town meeting, and that subdivision plan is approved,
Yeah.
then you effectively grandfather yourself from any changes to zoning. So we went from 40 feet to 60 feet, 65.
65.
Yeah.
They filed a subdivision plan prior to the next town meeting where we rezoned back to 40 feet. So that grandfathering, and we don't say grandfathering anymore because there are implications to it, but most of us don't use them in that way. But
Yeah, I still say it.
so they are grandfathered for a period of 8 years from the date of endorsement of the plan. So the plan was endorsed by the plan hasn't been endorsed by the planning board. After the appeal period, the board can endorse the plan. And so from 8 years from that date, they are grandfathered at that 65-foot height.
Right, okay, so then it doesn't sound like they can do much of anything else in some of these smaller lots or whatever because of the water situation and other things. So what are they doing?
Well, most people who are in the development business realize there's significant development costs, and that includes roadways and things like that. So they will have to figure that out. And that's the thing that we talk about in planning business and development business about projects penciling out. I'm going to build $1 million building. And to build my $1 million building, I have to make $1 million worth of improvements. Can I pay for $2 million worth of stuff with what I'm going to put on the site? So if I have a mini storage warehouse, is that $2 million worth of stuff to pay for? Do I have enough rents to pay for something like that? So at the end of the day, absent some sort of grant from some beneficiary, that they've got to figure out how to make their real estate work on the property and get that generate enough income with the property they're going to do to pay for the improvements that have to be done on the site.
Just seems like it's not going much of anywhere, but
Well, there were a lot of projects in the mix
Yeah.
prior to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So Russia's invasion of Ukraine basically turned the world upside down as far as interest rates, oil prices, and things like that. And with that spike in interest rates, a lot of projects went by the wayside because the amount of money you've got to pay in interest, you can't build a project for that. So low interest rates make it easier for people to build things, higher interest rates make it difficult.
oh yeah.
So the higher the interest rates are, the more value you've got to get out of that, and you have to compare that with what other places are offering. So if you have an industrial park, such as in Plymouth, it's got water and sewer and things like that, they have more amenities for someone to offer than a plant that doesn't have those sort of things. So at some point, the property owners will have to say, what are we going to do? Are we going to flip this to somebody else? Are we going to invest in that? And I think that you'll see as the market returns to something, and prices are always stickier on the way down than they are on the way up. Look at any change in gas prices. They go right up, but it takes a very long time to get down. It'll be the same thing with interest rates, to get interest rates back to the point that more people are willing to engage in significant projects because these things cost money and they've got to pencil out.
Yeah. 'Cause they've been having this property now for quite a number of years, and obviously costing them significant amounts of money, yet there's been no return at all over these many years. So I don't know how much longer they can or want to do this.
Correct to them.
Yeah.
I've got a few questions. I know you have to run.
That's fine.
We were, as you know, we were very involved as an authority when Hillwood was the player. What do you see as the RDA's role now moving forward with this?
Well, I think that, as we've talked about before, right now the urban redevelopment plan is a plan for X number of square feet, X millions of square feet, X number of trips. At some point when someone wants to do a significant development on the site, we'll likely be revisiting the urban redevelopment plan. What are the parameters of that particular plan? What are they planning to build on site? So at that point, when we're looking at the urban redevelopment plan and those potentials for fully developing out the site, I think that's when the RDA gets back involved in the process of looking at what's going to be built on the site.
Is there any discussion or thought of a representative from the RDA being at the pre-development meeting? Is there any need?
I typically don't have, no offense, I typically don't have elected officials at staff meetings.
I'm appointed. Just kidding.
Yeah, they're the worst kind, the appointed ones.
I know.
They're not the answer to the electors.
Okay.
But no, it's typically a staff function. Conservation, building commissioner, board of health, health agent, and town planner.
All right, so town employees.
Yep.
All right.
Technical staff. And our consulting engineer.
When do you foresee that happening? Any idea?
It's up
When
to
did
them.
first?
It's up to them.
Okay. When does the appeal period end?
Today.
Okay. And there, as far as you know, there's been nothing.
Not as of about 15 minutes ago.
Okay. All right. Is there any reason for us to have Bob or George come in and talk to us at this point?
Unless you want an update from them about what their intentions are, but.
Okay. The going to the water plant, if they decide to do a water treatment plant for the whole area, would they have to then create a separate lot for that?
I don't know, because that is going to be public water supply likely through DEP and what
Okay.
DEP parameters are. Typically, for something that size, there's usually a 400-foot diameter well exclusion area.
Right.
So here's the head of the well, you got a 400-foot diameter that you can build nothing in. So likely they'd be able to build that on one of the lots. There's a 212,000, a 212 acre lot. So there's plenty of room for that site on a well, but it doesn't have to be exclusive to that.
All right, but I would think that based on the history there, that there might be the need for a treatment facility for that water. A building with some kind of treatment facility. And I'm just wondering if that would, if the developer sets aside a certain parcel of property for their own potential infrastructure moving forward.
Yeah, that'd be something they'd take up with DEP. But I don't believe it has to be an exclusive lot to that. But at the same time, if you're a guy who owns a subdivision, industrial subdivision, you have a wastewater treatment plant, I think you'd want to make sure you had, sort of absolute control of that. So you might.
Right, I mean, wastewater is one thing. This is water coming out of the ground that, that's probably full of manganese and iron.
You can
That-
take water out of the ground? I thought that was a brownfield, we couldn't put wells on
I
there.
think if you go deep enough, it's okay.
Yeah. So I don't know fully, the status of a lot of these things, but the portion of the property that was affected by PFAS, they're capping, and when you cap something, you essentially put what it sounds like a cap over top of it so water doesn't run through that. So you have something in the ground that you don't want to leach into the water table. You remove it to the extent that you can, and then you cap to make sure any trace amounts don't infiltrate into the water table. Sometimes it's the clay cap, sometimes, and this is typical for landfills. We look at the landfill here. We finally put a cap on the landfill here to make sure that water doesn't go through that area and leach out. But that is fully the role of DEP.
Right, well, that's done already. They've already done the cap.
So,
It's an umbrella.
so much like with the development on Silver Street that folks are looking at, they had to go to DEP to look at producing a public water supply for that small development. They decided at that point that they're scaling back their development because they can't afford to go through the process with DEP. The well isn't any different from what the well would be, but the difference is the reporting for DEP that you are basically on a lifetime date for. So you've got to maintain those operating procedures, reporting procedures, and things like that. So unless it's scaled significantly, then nobody's going to go there.
So can I ask, in conjunction with his, if the developers, Route 44, decide to use that money to the North Carver Water District and fix whatever has been neglected or incompetent, I don't know what happened over there. So obviously they need new wells, there's a lot of manganese and iron.
I don't know what the status of the well is, but manganese is manganese. It's all.
I guess my point is Route 44 willing, instead of digging their own wells or their own treatment plant or their own water plant, to go and expend that kind of money to get the proper, water going for them, along with the tower and everything else that they were originally going to be doing. You see anything like that as a potential?
Well, like I said, if they want to build anything of any substance on the site, anything that looks like what Hill was proposing, they're going to have to make a significant investment in something like that, and it's going to cost a lot of money.
Either way.
So you got to make money to spend money.
Right, but if they decide, according to like what Savory's been asking, digging their wells, they're gonna have to spend a lot of money too. To feed everybody that's gonna be on that site, so anyway. Well, that's interesting. Maybe at some point we can think about bringing Route 44, we might have some more questions, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, it might be a fine idea to invite them after they break ground on a subdivision.
Okay.
Because, you might ask them now, and we all might be dead before, you all look healthy, by the way, before they actually build a building on the site.
Okay.
I just have one more thing on the pre-development. Typically, and it may not be typical at all, you said it was up to them when they want to do that.
Yeah.
Is there general timeline, how quickly people do it, or is it vary by every project? Could it be a month? Could it be a year?
Yeah, typically, you've got to commence your project, you've got to start building your subdivision within, I think it's 3 years, or you've got to come for extension or something like that. So they've certainly got to start building a road within that time period. To the extent that and keep in mind, the wastewater treatment plant is not part of the subdivision.
Right, yes, I know.
What's required for the subdivision
just the pipes.
is the roads, the pipes, the drainage,
Right.
the lights.
All right. The only reason I asked that question is, as you are aware, we are getting a brand-new conservation agent on April 1st, who probably has zero idea what's going on up there. So I'm a little, not concerned, but, it would be nice to be able to help get him up to speed if this were to happen quickly.
Well, I think Emil, I think starts April 1st. I would have started April 2nd just to make sure it was really my job. But he starts April 1st, and I'm sure he's going to be drinking out of a fire hose, but not one that's supplied by North Carver Water. No offense. So he's going to have a lot of things to learn and a lot of things to get up to speed on.
Yes.
And this is probably not first and foremost.
Okay.
So we don't want to run him off first week.
No.
It's gonna come down to those guys getting a deal. I mean, that's really what it's gonna come down to. It's gonna, because as you pointed out before, does the thing pencil out whatever they have to do with it to make it work for whatever they're gonna do?
And I've had this conversation in town, I may be wrong, but I'll keep saying it, is that one of the reasons that Carver hasn't had a 40B, an affordable housing development of a significant size, is because in order to do a 40B, the market rate units have to be valuable enough to underwrite the cost of the affordable units. And if you don't have enough market on the upper end, you can't subsidize the lower end. So in Falmouth, when I was there, we had 5 or 6 40Bs at one time. Not giant ones, but people would buy a lot, 4-acre lot, try to build some condos, build some whatever. And in that case, the market rate units in Falmouth were significant enough to underwrite the cost of the affordable units. There's currently a 300-unit 40B proposed, or at least being discussed in Falmouth as well. But once again, that 20%, that 25% of affordables you have to fund, you really don't, the developer doesn't really make any money on that. So they've got to have enough on the top end of the rate to underwrite the affordable end of the rate. So we'll run to that with the MBTA bylaw as well. We're going to create zoning, but will anybody build anything? Because, what's the values that you can get out of Carver? At some point, if Plymouth is all built out and Plimpton's all built out and everybody else are like, well, this is the only place we can go, then you're in the point where you're in that position. Now, the location for some sort of distribution operation is obviously something that's desirable to these folks, or they wouldn't have considered it. People look at disposable income, they look at road trips and things like that, the road network. So the location of Carver on Route 44, sort of halfway between Route 3 and halfway between 495, is great for that type of use, but you still gotta build it and you still gotta fund it. In the case of putting the infrastructure in, that's significant.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd
have nothing else. I have nothing else.
We thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much. All right, look forward to the next one.
Okay.
Okay, good.
All right, going along on the agenda here, I just put it back on because I just want to let everybody know that on our minutes, Savory had said on the minutes, if you read them, he suggested on this report to Maggie Smith that I should call her. Well, guess what? I did. She sent me back a letter and she said, "Thank you, Joanna, this format is fine." So it's a closed deal, but I thought I would just put it back. Yeah. By the way, I tried to do this technology thing and these two screens are not connecting, and this screen here would only go on, but it's for audience and not for us, and that's really not the way I wanted it. So he's gonna do some talking with the people that install that. It looks like a safe, but it's not. That's that box. he said it's about $50,000. And this is ARPA money that bought all this equipment. And so thanks for ARPA, thank you. So I said to him, you know, you're talking to someone that doesn't quit. And he goes, I've been told that. So anyway, that's that. The Wade Street plan, I believe, Savory, this is what Kathleen sent me, and I wanted, these are
Right.
the steps that we're supposed to
Yeah.
follow. And Pat, I believe, has an invoice. Pat, you got an invoice from Art Borden?
I've got one that I need somebody to say it's okay
Okay, let's look at it.
before we pay it.
So, let's, Savory, have a look. Virtual deed and plan research, preparation of 81X, we remember that number, that name, right,
Yep,
for
yep.
that. And furnish and install up to 8 concrete bounds. Note, initial research indicates that at least 2 existing corners may, document is still done, if that is the case. Is this an up in the air type of thing already?
They'll have to see if they're still there.
Okay.
They can bill us additional.
Okay. Do you feel that we could be paying this?
Yes.
Okay, so I want a motion that, to pay this bill. Do you have a motion to pay this bill?
So moved.
Do I have a
Okay.
second?
Second.
And any further discussion? There being none, let's vote. Say aye.
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 And Joanna Layton says aye. To the tune of $8,650 to Art Borden and Associates for the parcel of surveying, parcel number 112-3-B-E, then known as 0 Wade Street. Okay. Pat, I'll give it back to you. You
Okay,
can pay
the
that.
only thing I'll ask is that either Johanna or Savory, you gotta sign some checks upstairs.
I can go in tomorrow.
Just one person, no, not two.
Oh, okay.
And I'll be the second signer.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Just do like,
You'll do that?
Oh, yeah, I'll do
Okay.
that tomorrow.
Like-
I can
like-
take care of that tomorrow.
like 3 or 4 or something.
All right.
3 or 4 of them you want me to sign?
Yeah,
Sure,
good,
no
thank you.
problem. I can take care of that. I can do that. Well, let's talk about how we're gonna do this, because Kathleen sent us 12 lines or 12 instructions, and it's, the deed I have, I can pass that around so you can see it, and the authorization as well. The first thing, she's saying that the CRA needs to vote to authorize the transfer of the property to the Concom for no consideration. Well, okay. The next thing she's saying, the CRA votes to authorize Joanna to sign the deed, and here's the part. Joanna signs the deed in front of a notary. My suggestion, we should try to plan this next meeting. We need to get back on the beginning of the calendar, namely April, not where we are now. We want to go back to where we were. Well, how are we going to work this with, as we continue? It says Joanna gives the deed to Savory. Well, for me to sign in front of the notary, I could invite, it's Tuesday, we could easily invite Kara. She said she would step in.
You can bring the deed, after we vote to authorize you to sign it, you can go to Kara on your own. She doesn't have to come to the meeting. You go
Okay.
to her office.
Okay.
And you're the only one who has to sign it, and she just has to notarize that you've signed it.
Okay, great, so solved. Joanna gives the deed to Savory, and I'm assuming once that happens, you're doing the same thing. Now, yours is a little more complicated because she's saying the Concom has to vote to accept and signs the acceptance. 1 or 2 members of the Concom have their signature notarized, so you'd have to do the same thing and yourself as well as
Right.
another member.
Right.
Go back to her and sign it.
Yeah, she says or 2 members. If I can probably get the vice chair to go with me, but if not, it's just me. That seems to be okay too. It says
Okay,
1 or 2
okay.
members.
And she's saying 8, the original deed and the original acceptance goes to the select board. She's talking about what we're signing, right?
Yes,
Okay, fine.
yes. You have signed the deed. I will have signed the acceptance.
Right. Okay, okay. Well, we could actually do my part tonight,
Yes.
just the vote. Not
Yes.
tomorrow when I come in, I can go and have it notarized and then make some preparation to give it to you.
Yes. Concom meets next on the 20th, a week from tomorrow.
Oh, good, that'll be good. We can move that along, fine, okay. Now, as far as the Mylar, because she's saying here, the original, number 10, the original deed and the original acceptance are paired with the original Mylar, so.
Which is right here.
You have the Mylar.
have it right here.
Okay, fine. And then someone calls her to pick everything up and she'll come in the town hall. She'll record everything and of course send us a bill. And she's gonna send you a bill? Okay. And send a bill for the recording fees for the deed and acceptance to the Concom.
Right.
The CRA pays the recording for the fee for the plan. Okay, that sounds good. All right, now, let me ask that we authorize a vote to transfer the property to the Concom for no consideration. Do I have a motion on that?
Okay, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Let's do a roll call vote. Am I doing this correctly?
Mhm.
Okay. Pat?
Aye.
Savory Moore says aye.
Joanna Layton says aye.
Jim Element says aye.
That's okay, it's passed. So, tomorrow.
I'm gonna change mine to, no vote, neither for or against, because I'm the chairman
Abstain,
of.
want to abstain then?
Abstain, yeah. that
No,
could
an
be-
abstain is a vote.
I'm gonna abstain as chairman of conservation, I probably
Okay.
should abstain. You still have
Okay.
the votes, so I'll abstain.
So we have enough votes. So Susan, could you make sure you clarify that? Okay, thank you very much.
You've got 3.
All right, so that's done. So, let me tomorrow, let me.
We need
at
another
least-
vote. We have to vote now to authorize you to sign the deed.
Oh, there we go. See? I need Savory. Don't leave me, Savory. All right, we need
So that's, I can make that motion
You
and vote.
can?
I can
All
vote
right,
on that.
please make that
I will
motion.
make the motion that that the Carver Redevelopment Authority authorizes Joanna Layton to sign the deed.
do I have a second?
Second.
We'll do a roll call vote.
Okay.
So Pat,
Aye.
Savory Moore says aye.
Joanna Layton says aye.
Jim Element says
Jim
aye.
Element says aye, so it's passed. I am now authorized to sign. Before I do that, let me just pass this paperwork around so you can, here, have a look at that.
I also have paper copies of the plan,
Oh, okay.
should anyone need them.
Did he give us small copies?
No.
How do you send that?
But this is what has to go to the registry. They-
That's considered the Mylar?
Yes,
Oh,
they
okay.
stamp this. They stamp this and it
Here you
becomes
go.
part of their record.
Take a look at it. Oh, and by the way, if you looked at that deed, we don't own 6 acres, we own 8,000, what is it? 0694 acres.
8.0694 acres.
The assess record from the assessor board, apparently, they either didn't multiply right or something happened because it's recorded on that assessment record, which we've been going by this whole time. For years, we've been talking about 6.0 whatever, so.
This is my copy of
So what
this.
is the actual?
Yeah, that's
number again?
yours.
Sorry, 8 point,
0694,
thank you.
Yeah, 8.694.
06.
There you go, want to take a quick look? Did we give her the right numbers? 0,
Yeah,
8,
0, yes.
694? Okay. And then, I believe you and I have to, shall we deliver that in person to the select board rather than just drop it off for signatures? Because they have to sign.
Well, I can give it to Elaine
Okay.
once I'm done.
So do you want to follow up with her picking it up and then, what do you, how you gonna, you want to call Kathleen and you want me to do it, or how are we gonna further that? I'm going right down the line.
Let's get it signed first. So I need to have the,
The acceptance and the,
right,
the second page or third page of the deed?
right, but I can't sign the acceptance at the conservation meeting. I have to sign it in front of Kara.
Okay.
So I can have-
With one other person, or you just
Maybe.
yourself? She said one or two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I can have the other members of sign it at the meeting, because they don't have to be notarized. Then I can bring this to, into Kara, and I'll sign it in front of her.
Okay,
And when you get this notarized, you give me all 4 of these pages.
I will,
I'll take everything.
okay.
And then when it's, then I'll give it to the Board of Selectmen, I'll give it to Elaine and ask her to let me know when it's signed.
Okay,
And I'll hold on to the Mylar, I'll give them a paper copy, I'll hold on to the Mylar. And then after the Select Board has signed it, I will go, or I'll ask Elaine to give it to the permitting department, Jill.
yeah,
And then then we can let Kathleen know it's everything's signed and ready to go.
okay,
And then she can come in and pick it up from Jill.
okay.
That looks fine.
All right, super, I'll sign it. All right, I'm signing it. What's today?
12th.
The what?
The 12th.
You have to sign that in front of Kara.
I'm sorry, Joanna, don't do that. All right, I understand, yes, I was trying to move it right along. The next one, called the open meeting law guy, I just wanted you to know there's a link out there, and that's the link. It's 48 pages. It looks like this, and so forth and so on, and I just wanted to tell you. Tom Bond, when I discussed about how disgusted I was with all this open meeting thing, he said, when we get a board, a full board, whatever, he could come and work with us on the open meeting law. I talked to him about a video and stuff like that. He seems to be kind of experienced in some of this. So I guess we have something to look forward to.
Okay.
So that takes care of that. The next is the treasurer's report, and I gave that to everybody. They only got my copy, and I don't know, I couldn't get anything more than this. You got February, but I couldn't get it.
Well, here's what I sent, out, and it's got February. I don't know, you may have been looking at it
No,
last month.
I only, if you want to try it again,
I do, I send it out to everybody every month.
I know you did, and this is what I got from you at the time, which also went to everybody as well.
Did I?
But that's all I could get, so I don't know how, if anybody could get the second one, I don't know. That's all I got.
Did anybody else?
Did
I didn't
anybody else
look
try
at it.
to open
No.
it up?
We'll do that now.
And what I included in my package to you would be this, so that isn't gonna help
We
you.
kept on going.
You gotta find Pat's email. If they can find your email, which I'm sure they can, like I did, and try to open it up, and they would see probably the second one. I don't know, I don't see it.
No, it's in
I
there.
see it all.
You see it all?
I see it all. I see
Must
what
be-
Pat has on the screen.
Must be me.
You must have been looking at last month's.
I don't know, I don't
must
like,
have
I don't
opened the
know,
wrong
I don't
one.
know.
But in any case, and I checked it like 4 times when,
Okay.
because we
Can
were
you give
going-
me that? Can we approve this treasurer's report? A
Well,
motion
I'm
to
gonna-
approve, and
I'm gonna
give me
read-
your copy, so I'll have it, because all I have is
I'll
this.
send you another one, I'm gonna read this.
Okay, good, I'm sorry.
And as the balance in the accounts as of February 29th, 2024, in the checking account, we have $253.99. In the money market account, we have $58,440.12. And in the urban renewal plan account, We have $1,280.50, nothing outstanding.
Did we get a penny in interest?
We got a penny a month, yeah. We gotta get, you know,
Big spending.
Just rolling in it.
they should be doing better on their interest rates. You know, I've emailed that manager a couple of times and she never gets back to me, so I'm gonna have to call. You know, I don't know what her problem is.
Oh,
But, I mean, I've got, you know, when I'm also treasurer of two regional school districts, and, you know, we get some decent interest rates from Rockland Bank.
Oh, the same bank?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
So I don't know what the issue is here, but I'll have to call her. But that's the story with the account balances. That's the
Good.
treasurer's report.
Good, thank you. We have a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
And we, all those in favor, say
Aye.
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 Aye. It's all approved. The next thing is the, looking at the meeting minutes that we had on February 20th to approve. Has everybody looked at them?
Yeah, they look fine to me.
Any
Yep.
errors or anything? Everybody's fine? Okay, should I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from February 20th, 2024.
Okay,
Second, so moved. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
aye, aye. Very good, thank you.
Okay, Joanne, I resent it to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right, moving along. Topics not anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance of the meeting. I don't really have any at that point, but I do have a lot of member comments, okay? Does anybody have any topics not anticipated?
No.
Okay, let's go to the member comments. I got a notice, it was always also on the website that the town meeting has been changed. We're gonna be meeting, town meeting is June 4th, 6:30 on a Tuesday. They added an additional date of Wednesday, if necessary, June 5th at 6:30 PM. So that's changed. If you want to see, take a look at that, that's how that's gonna go down. The other thing is that Sue sent out, I believe, Sue, you sent me a notice that you had put up all these executive session minutes? Okay, this, very good. So, and they're in their proper order, I'm assuming? Okay, that
Yeah,
sounds
they're
good.
attached to the general session. so.
Okay, and you also told me that Tom Bott collected those, and he's going to make sure that they're up.
Yes.
And you also said something about other minutes as well. He was going to be working to get those to the town
Yes.
clerk.
Yeah, anything that was not already provided to the town clerk, he was gonna make sure she got it.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. We did get from the AG, the final on the Bob Belbin, that last OML that he put. So I'm thinking we could just talk about this. Savory, you invited him.
We got the,
We did have it. I'm gonna have it in my next agenda. We finally got it.
the AG's
Yeah, the
decision.
AG's, yeah.
What was it?
It was, they didn't go back, and they went back and they said because they already made whatever they said, they continued it, and we're not getting charged for anything.
This was from the email that you sent out
Yes, right.
to everybody.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. So next month, I thought I would put that on the agenda. Savory, you asked Mr. Bob Belbin if you want to talk with him. He's key. I sent him an email and I said, hey, Bob, we're gonna decide the month and if you can come back because Savory had asked you to return. He didn't answer me, but I just sent him a notice to let him know.
Just ignore this guy.
Well, no, I
Yeah.
want to,
No, you do.
You do, and I think rightfully so, and
And
I'm hoping that, and I'm
should.
sure that's gonna happen. I'm sure he'll come. Well, we'll do that next month for sure.
We'll ignore him later.
And I want to say that Roger Knoblet sent me, he cannot continue he asked to come on first shift and they have denied that privilege. He asked if we could meet earlier. I sent him back a message and an email, and I said, tell us more specific, what time are you looking for? You need to know that we have working people as well, not all, to change the time frame. Whether he's working obviously second shift. He asked to go on first shift and he can't attend our meetings. And he said that if he couldn't continue, he would have to possibly consider to leave the group, to resign.
Right, but he didn't reply to you as to what
No,
time
I
he wants
haven't
to-
get it yet, so I'm still holding out, waiting to see what he's gonna say.
Okay.
Isn't there something about if you miss so many meetings in a row, when's the last time
Not when
you
you're
was here?
elected. If you're appointed,
Yeah,
that's the
okay.
issue. But if you're elected, you don't have to show up.
No.
No, seriously. I checked in that to make sure.
You may want to rephrase that.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, you didn't have to attend every meeting. You can. Is that a little bit better?
That's a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit better, okay. And last, I want to say to that Jim Elliman took out his papers for election in April to serve for a 5-year term. Thank you.
I did.
It's
Very
all
good.
set and done.
It is. They
That's
called me
great.
back and confirmed I had, so go out and vote for me.
Go out and vote
Okay.
for Jim
We
Elliman.
will do that. Good.
So I have to ask Pat. I called the
Yeah.
town clerk and I asked Pat about Jim, and she told me that Pat Maha did not take out his papers. Pat, you didn't take out papers, I'm sure you would like to tell us.
Well, because for one thing, I can't.
Because of the law.
I'm on the finance committee because of the bylaw, which even if it changes, that is.
Too late.
After,
It's your period of time.
it's after the election, it's
Right.
at town meeting, which is now in June,
Right,
and no, I can't do it.
right.
And I'm on the finance committee, I can't be on, I don't go along with it, and I've said that before.
Yeah, we
I
don't
don't go
either.
along with it at all.
Right.
I don't know what the point is, but I've argued it. That's the way the bylaw is, that's the way it's going. Maybe it'll change, who knows? I'm not sure it will. But, no, so I will, as of next month, I believe that will be my last
It
meeting.
would be after the election.
And it's been a real
So
pleasure.
next month, if we can have an early, if we go back to our first week or whatever, like we used to be, first Monday? Tuesday, excuse me,
Tuesday,
first
yeah.
Tuesday. If we assign, we'll be back up on the top, and the election's the 27th of April.
Yeah.
That's when your term would
Yeah.
end, so we'll have you one more time.
Yeah, and I'll be here one more time, and I'd just like to say it was very enjoyable being on here. I enjoyed working with all of you and seeing Jim come on and so forth, and it was a really great experience, and I enjoyed it. So I'm glad I got the pleasure to meet and work with you all, and I'll still be seeing you around, I'm sure.
Let me ask a hypothetical. Does anybody else take out papers for,
No, I asked her, that's why I called.
so we have
I
two,
don't-
We're gonna have
two open seats.
potentially two open seats.
maybe
yeah.
3 if Roger can't do it, right?
Well,
I mean, Jim's taking out papers,
yeah, he's.
but there could be 3 seats available and 1 person running.
Who's the third?
Pat's gone, Roger, if we can't change the meeting
Yeah.
time to accommodate him, he's gonna have to resign, he said.
Okay, so that's Roger and now Pat, so that's not 3 openings, that's 2 openings.
Well, right.
Well,
Technically,
Jim will be an opening.
Jim is running for
An open seat.
An open
I don't-
seat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm appointed.
Okay.
Right.
So we have 2.
So, the question is, if the bylaw is changed in June, would you consider seeking an appointment back here to fill the term until next election day?
yeah, that would be fine.
Okay.
I don't know if that's doable, though.
I don't either. that was just
I don't either, but
It's
I'm glad to
hypothetical.
hear that.
Hypothetical.
I'm glad to hear that, Pat.
Because, if there's only 1 person running and we have, after election day, we have 2
Yeah.
open seats, those are
Right.
both appointed by the town administrator
Absolutely.
until next year's election.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
But don't forget, we're getting a new town administrator, too.
We're getting a new town administrator, we're getting a new conservation
We-
agent.
we
New
don't know.
finance director.
And we don't know, that's.
She's coming on pretty soon.
That's signed on, that we're still, I'm chairing the town administrator search committee, and that is,
Oh, yeah.
we've got our first, we're gonna be interviewing this week,
Oh, wow.
Thursday night and Saturday morning.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
We're gonna be doing our interviewing, and from there, we will hopefully pass on some qualified people to the select board.
How many do you have to pass on to the select board?
We have to do a minimum of 4.
Did you get a good
Yeah,
amount?
yeah, we've got a good group, yeah.
Oh, good.
I was surprised, I was pleasantly surprised.
Good.
I really wasn't, didn't have high hopes. But, we've got a very good consultant. He really went out and did a lot of recruiting and so forth, and I was
Good.
very, very happy with the group of people that we got.
Good, very good. Well, that's something positive, huh?
Good.
And as Tom said, the new conservation agent is starting April 1st.
Yeah,
So we have that coming in.
It didn't
Yeah.
take long to get a new one, did it?
Well, we didn't have much choice. Gary's gone.
Oh,
He's moved. He's moved to New Hampshire.
Okay. Cheaper up there, right?
And his wife got another job,
Oh,
a much better job. She's in the health industry.
oh,
So they had to move. He's on sort of a retainer to do things remotely as far as setting up meetings and writing things until the new guy starts. And then for another 2 weeks after that for a transition period.
oh, wow, okay.
But physically, he's gone.
Well, town's changing a little bit here.
Guess so.
Yep.
Let's hope for the best. I guess we have to talk about the next meeting, guys. And I'd like to get back on the beginning of the... We used to be what, the first or the second?
The first Tuesday.
First Tuesday, okay. First Tuesday in April is the second, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Fine
Well,
with me?
is that fine with
Yeah,
you?
works fine.
Pat, this is your last day here.
first
Is
Tuesday.
that okay for you, the second?
I really have very, very little bit of a set schedule, so, yeah, it's good for me.
Good for you and Savory too?
April 2nd.
I'm not here.
as-
I'm not here. I'm on vacation that week.
Oh, we can't do that.
So I didn't want to disappoint you right away, but
Oh.
I'm not here.
All right,
okay.
we can move to the next, how about the
To the-
9th?
to the
I know that
ninth.
you wanted to change it back, but I'm not here on the 2nd.
All right, we'll go to the
Okay.
9th.
We can do the 9th.
Yeah, now that
Can
there's
we do the
no,
9th?
Yeah,
now that there's no town meeting.
Oh,
we can
that's
do it.
fine, yeah,
We can
we
do
don't
the
care.
Yes,
So
sorry.
Keep it at 6:30?
Yeah, 6:30, let's do 6:30 on
on April 9th.
April 9th, we got it, in our room number 4. You'll communicate that, Susan? Okay, thank you. We're gonna work more I wanna say this, we're working more closely with Tom Bott and Jill and her staff. Susan did a lot of the work. I started, and she
Yeah,
would
thank you.
put it all. So we're gonna use Tom Bott and his staff. It might be Jill or somebody, I don't know. And they're also going to take and talk to or whatever has to get done with the meeting calendar for the event, schedule it. They'll go
Oh,
online.
okay, good.
They'll go online and schedule it. They'll also prepare the agenda. I'll work with Tom Bott, and they'll have the agenda. And they're going to copy or photograph for us to save on their town not the website, but their town computer. Remember how we didn't have anything saved?
Right, yeah,
Sharon took over, everything was kind of like Luke.
yeah.
So I had a meeting with Tom and Jill, and they're gonna take it all back.
All right, so it'll be on their server.
Absolutely.
The town server, so we have access and history.
Yes.
Good.
And I said to Tom, can we have a space, maybe a drawer or whatever in that file cabinet over there? We're talking about that, because there's 2 boxes that the last town planner left, and we need to go through that.
Yes.
Some was good, some was not so good.
Jim's box.
Huh?
Jim's box.
Yes, exactly, so we're gonna have to go through it. So I'll go in at some point and get that done, so. So we're back on the town computer. They're gonna copy everything the way they should. They're gonna put the minutes into the town clerk. The agenda is gonna get built, the calendar is gonna get the event. Susan's still with us. Thank you, Susan, for all that you've done.
No problem.
And you're not through, I'm sure. I'll be calling you up, so.
We get it all figured out. It's all gonna
I
go
know,
nice and
you know.
smooth now.
All right, are we good to, so the next meeting is going to be on the 9th,
Yeah.
6:30.
6:30. That's great, and it'll be room for Susan, try to get down.
And just so you know, when we get to May and you want to move it to the first week,
Yeah.
I'm on vacation again.
Well, check in.
Sorry.
Well, we'll get on track one
We
of
gotta
these.
get on his
we'll get
schedule.
one of these days.
And then, of course, June 4th is the first Tuesday in June, that's town meeting. So we can't have it the first
Yeah,
week then
right,
either. So,
It'll be months before I see that again. I don't care. Doesn't matter. So, we need to adjourn, guys. We
I'll
could-
make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What is the time?
7:32.
7:32. Thank you.